May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight. He is our strength and our redeemer, and it is in his name, which is his authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Amen. Welcome. Come on in, everybody. Come on in. We appreciate you. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi. ¿Cómo está? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi. Ça va? Ni hao. Abaragani. Namaste. Asaya, Anakitoya. Osayo. Ohio. I see you. Manut. Kamsa. Kasamida. Jambo. Mimini Kofi. Nina Franco. Katana Wewe. Shabbat Shalom. Bakwatav. Tadach Yaslav. Barak Alat Sham Yachava. Anai Kofi. Helet at Servants of Christ. Mashalom. Hey, hello everybody. I'm Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servants of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. We're asking that you guys hang in there with us. And also, before we get started, thank you for being with us. Thank you for getting through Passover seasoning, Shabbat Shalom, not just because it is Saturday, but also because we are in the midst of our Feast of Unleavened Bread. So prayerfully, you guys are enjoying the fruits of your labor of removing the leaven from your home for 40 days, enjoying the fruits of being greater, enjoying the fruits of becoming who the Most High has called you to be and created you to be. We're thankful and grateful to everybody who is on with us today, and we appreciate you so very much. Actually, hold on. Okay, amen. I thought I was on the wrong channel. Amen. So we're on. We appreciate you guys. Thank you all so much. Thank you for taking time out to be with us again. I'm Pastor Kofi, Pastor. All right, excuse me, I said that already. Let's give all honor and praise to the Most High. We give all praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Maya, who is able to be honored. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, or website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A and D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She's a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. Those of you who are used to this every once in a while, we ask that you be there to help a family. There's a family that's in need that we asked to just kind of wait until Passover was over and this weekend so we could start making sure that we try to be a blessing to them. There's a family in need that needs some help. If you've been paying attention to our shout out at the end, we actually put their information up. We've been doing so for about a week, putting their information up at the end so that you can see what's going on. They're going to be doing something, and really you can give if you'd like to. If you'd like to give to them or even give to us so we can give to them, we're grateful to be able to do so. Just make sure you put in the description and whatever platform you're using also. And they put the reason up. They have somebody going through some issues, some lawful issues, some legal issues, and they need some help. And so we want to try and help them as best we can. If you'd like to sow a seed, you can do that. Their information will pop up at the end, as it's been doing for a while. And we have until, I believe, the 22nd or the 21st maybe to give. So if that's something that you're interested in doing so the next couple of weeks, we'll be making sure that you're made aware of that or that you're well aware of that. Other than that, thank you for being on. Let's go ahead and get ready to jump into this. We actually got to get ready for the Shabbat Shalom service, which I'll be giving the word for too on the podcast. So if you want to stick around for information on how to be part of that, or if you're on YouTube and you want to be part of that, just look in the description with the video to get information on that and how you can join us live. We thank you all for being on. We appreciate you so very much. Let's go ahead and get into this word, into this message for today. I only have a short amount of time, relatively speaking, to what we would normally have on our Saturdays because of our Shabbat Shalom service on the podcast. And then on the podcast, we'll have a shorter message again as well today, a message of hope. And I think a message that those of you who have questions or those of you who've been questioning some things that you've been going through, this word is going to bless you. We're going to break down the word question and see where that comes from. So we thank you. Yes, I am Kofi because I'm Friday morning. I'm on. But hello, everybody. How you doing? We just have the podcast. I'm sorry. We just have YouTube and TikTok on today. So thank you for being on with us on this rising. Those who watch us later on, if you're coming on through Facebook or some other platform, we appreciate you. And let's go ahead and say hello to everybody real quick and get into today's message, which is a continuation of the series we've been doing called Animalistic Behavior. We just started this a couple of days ago on Thursday. So we're excited to continue this. How you doing? This is Denise, MIT Samaya LeRae, Minister Shantae, Stephen. Thanks for being on. Might be in your area, not this month, but maybe next month, the end of next month. I have to double check the calendar, but we might be in that in the Virginia Beach area for those that are in that area. So we hope to see y'all sometime around there. Not Virginia Beach, but the Tidewater area. I'm not sure exactly where, but somewhere in that area. So we hope to see y'all then. How you doing, Carrie? Sweet Treats, Sasuka, Money Green, Big Brother Thomas, Ron. And if I miss your name, charge it to my head and not to my heart. We appreciate everybody for being on today. Eugene from the D, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Yaki Jambo, Aqua Abba at the Saint, for those who might know that as well. How you doing, Sister Judith? Everybody who's on, thank you so much. Nay, Sister Tracy, Jay from the D as well. The D in the house. How y'all doing? Simone, how you doing? Shiso Israel, Sister Tracy, Sister Betty, Nashia is Israel, Sheikah Shay, Brother Jermaine. Everybody, we appreciate you. And by the way, as a reminder too, though we have a Zoom meeting today, 3 Zoom meetings today, actually, at 11 a.m. Eastern New York time. Those in Florida, we hope to be able to talk to you and we'll make sure that if you haven't gotten the link, you should have. If you have the Zoom link, same Zoom link we've been using for our Florida meetings, feel free to use that. If you would like it, just let us know. We have a Zoom meeting for those in Florida at 11 a.m. Eastern New York time. We have a Zoom meeting at 12:30 p.m. Eastern New York time for those that are in the Northeast region. That's everybody above Pennsylvania and east of Ohio, up there in that area at 12:30 p.m. Eastern New York time. And then for those that are in Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania, we have a Zoom meeting for you guys at 2:00 p.m. And if you're in the DMV and you'd like to be able to meet up with us, we'll be doing a meetup today at North Point State Park, a little bit outside of Baltimore. We'll be trying to meet up there at about 4 p.m. and try to spend a few hours. So those who can make it, we hope to see you guys there. Let's see. Hello, how you doing? Is it Savory? Or Savor Latino. Okay, thanks for being on. Everybody who's on, we appreciate you. So let's go ahead and get into this. So we've been talking about animalistic behavior. We kind of laid the foundation on Thursday. Yesterday, we talked about the lion. How you doing, Sister Lynette? And so today we're going to go into eagles. Today we're going to talk about eagles. Hey, lover money. I'm in the point already. So if you feel like you need to go somewhere where you can be in control or where somebody operates better for you, we welcome you to stay here if you'd like, because it might be worth your patience. But if not, you can feel free, to go somewhere else. And I thank you for being on, even though you seem to feel like I'm not great enough for you or whatever. That's fine. I'm not worried about winning or being right. I want to be righteous. I want to take my time, if that's okay with you. Even if it's not, I have to do what I'm led to do. So how you doing? You said you live in Baltimore. So like I said, outside of Baltimore, in a place called North Point State Park, a state park. By the way, if you are coming, I think it's like $5 per car. You have to pay $5 to park your car. If you're in the military, I think it's either free or like maybe down to $2 for parking your car or something. You would have to do that to be able to get in, just to let you know. And you're going to travel all the way around the curve and park there, and we'll be meeting in that parking lot. Even if it does rain or something like that, by the way, we'll make sure we have a backup location if we need to. So you feel free to go ahead and join us there. How you doing, Auntie Marion? How you doing, Sister Drea? How you doing, MDW? But today, getting into today, how you doing? How you doing, Hood? Today we're going to get into eagles in a series on animalistic behavior and how even though we are not animals, we can learn from creation. We can learn from animals. And today we want to talk about eagles. Even in our canon, if you believe in it, or even if you've heard of it, or even if you relate to it, but you say you're not religious, some people, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual type thing. I think that means a little different than what y'all think it means, but nevertheless, we're gonna speak on eagles today, right? Your Bible, read your Bible, it'll bless you. It mentions eagles. You will mount up on eagle's wings, right? The eagle represented in Revelation chapter 4. I'm speaking about how we soar, the way that we govern or are governed. And one of the things about eagles, there's a few things about eagles that I want to talk about because eagles actually don't fit in. And now you're doing Tori Yasarachla, excuse me, right? And eagles don't necessarily fit in. Everybody loves to talk about eagles, but eagles don't necessarily fit in. And a lot of our thought process on eagles is very romantic and also very much so changed, because people want eagles to fit in. People want, right? Like if you're, American or, the modern American, you believe in eagles because of what you've been told as far as it being the sign or the symbol of your nation. Those of you who still identify as part of the United States Corporation, you use eagles as a reference point for greatness, for soaring. But there's a lot of things that we might not know about eagles. There's a lot of things we may not know about eagles. Oh, okay. Same, Sister Tori. Okay, okay. Right. How you? Hey, I'm trying to speak French. Hola. Lo siento. You salí Perez. Uh, um, um, mi español es así, así. Pero gracias por tú y Richard aquí in TikTok live session. So thank you so much for being on. Appreciate you so much. But yeah, so we want to make sure that as we're grasping these things, that we're in a position in which we recognize that these eagles. How you doing, Sister Barbara, and Shabbat Shalom to everybody coming on once again. We want to recognize and realize that eagles do not really fit in to a nice, neat little box. They're different. They are mentioned over and over again because of their strength, because of their ability to soar, because of their ability to breathe, because of their ability to molt, because of their ability to start all over again. Eagles have a lot more that we should learn from them than just being on a dollar bill or something like that. How you doing, Rod? 1978. So these are in these trying times, being like eagles is something that can actually help you to be a blessing, or will help you to realize how much of a blessing you are, how blessed you really are. Because people have changed the mindset of eagles to the point to where all we think about is the soaring, but we don't think about even the suffering, how they are come together to be one with another eagle, and how they have to actually meet up with other eagles, or else they're not really going to be able to make it to the next level. How you doing, Baha? Right? Like you must recognize that eagles only fly with eagles. And eagles only can produce with eagles, and that seems very simplistic, right? When I say it right on top, well, duh, right? Eagles just fly with eagles. No, or eagles mate with eagles. There's a particular way that eagles fly, in a particular place that eagles fly. There's a particular way that eagles mate. So only an eagle has the ability to come together with another eagle. Right? Come on, Israel, right? Only in that come on those who were grafted, come on those who are going to obey the law. Only eagles have the ability to do what eagles do. Yeah, the way they made it is very crazy. We're gonna get into that. How you doing, Brightborn? How you doing, MM Glenn? So if you are an eagle, you must recognize that not only because of the physical or the species needing to be with each other to mate, do eagles get together with eagles. You must also recognize, and thank you for the love. You have to also recognize that when eagles mate, eagles are mating with eagles because only eagles can go through the mating ritual. Right? And only eagles can catch eagles in the same height because only eagles fly with eagles. Right? Not right. Chickens are fowl as well. Chickens are birds as well. However, even though chickens are birds, you hear what I'm saying? Even though chickens are birds, you must recognize that even though they are birds, they cannot fly. They can even hover somewhat. They can flap. They can get pretty high. They can go over your head if they're trying to get away from you. But chickens are what? Chickens are birds, but they are not eagles. So it's difficult for an eagle to even deal with a chicken, right? It might even try to eat a chicken, right? But it's not going to try and mate with the chicken. Eagles, as much as a sparrow might be nice, eagles cannot deal with sparrows because sparrows, although they can fly, they can't fly on the same level, right? Eagles are strong. Eagles can get things out of the water. And how you doing, Sister Beverly? Right? So eagles can grab things out of water. Did you hear what I'm saying? Eagles can grab things out of water. Did y'all catch that? Let me say one more again. Eagles can catch things out of water, right? They don't just only go on land. Eagles are able to go out miles and miles across water and miles. They can look around. They have a vision that nobody else can see, right? But eagles also have to be with other eagles because of this. When eagles mate, when they come together, right? When eagles come together and they mate and they begin to mate, they actually mate in flight. Did you catch that? Eagles mate in flight. But how they mate is they come together and they grab talons and they actually begin to twirl down in the dive while they mate. See, the eagle recognizes that if you're going to mate with me, you got to be down with me. If you're going to produce fruit with me, right, then I've got to see if you can go down with me. Right? Now, a lot of brothers want a girl, and a lot of girls want and a lot of women want a guy who can go down on you. But see, eagles say going down on you is not as big a priority as going down with me. If you're down with me, if you go through the struggle, if you go through the stress with me, then we can produce. see, we think about eagles just soaring, but see, the eagle says everybody else is looking at me at my highest point, and I belong at the high point. But see, when everybody else can't get with me, because see, I need to be able to see, can you dive with me? They go down together, they grab talons, they twirl and they twist or whatever. And in the midst of that, in the midst of the twirling and the craziness and all that, they come together and they produce. See, who are an eagle, recognize that soaring is mandatory, but also diving is mandatory. Hey, how you doing, Sister Monica? Praise God, thank you. Right? You see, a lot of people are there for you, right? Right? But the eagle says, hey, I need to see before we go ahead and get this on, I need to see, can you dive with me? If you can dive with me, then you can mate with me. If you can dive with me, then we can go ahead and produce this fruit. If you'll carry my cross, and I can come back and you can be my bride. See, they and look, I know there's and so I'm going to put this out there. I know that there's many different types of eagles. So I know that my focus might be on specific ones when I'm saying these things, right? Because there are many types of eagles. But what we're talking about today, right, is a specific type of eagle, right? But I'll try to mention some by name as we go through, because I know people are going to argue. I'm not going to act like this is somebody coming from an animal expert. I'm focusing on certain things today, especially since we have a short amount of time. How you doing, Pearl? Right? So eagles recognize that they need to go ahead and come together. And eagles, they might be solitary animals. They might live a lot of their lives by themselves, but they are monogamous. They'll come back to the same person every time, which means they're not out there cheating. Even if they're solitary, they're not out there doing stuff with others, right? But they always come back to each other, and they help each other to make sure that the babies are taken care of. See, eagles say, can you be down with me? Can you be faithful to me? Even if something happens to where we might have to spend a little bit of time separate from each other, are you down? Right? See, eagles, even the eagles come together, you must think to yourself, see, a lot of us are getting in all these relationships and trying to do all this stuff and trying to talk about all these things. I'm talking about eagles today, I apologize. But all these different things that we're talking about, you have to think about the fact that when eagles come together, eagles are looking for something that has the ability to be able to stay on point, right? Has the ability to stay on point. See, has the ability. See, everybody only talks about the sword. And look, it's important to recognize the level that you're on. See, some of you are trying to walk with pigeons. Some of you are trying to fly on a lower level with crows. Some of you are trying to glide with lizards that can glide, or right. Some of you are trying to glide with snakes that can glide. Some of you are trying to even participate in the same actions as vultures, but technically some eagles are more like vultures than they are other fowl that you might think of. But eagles are special. Even the way that eagles speak a language when they, I won't say when they chirp, right? That wouldn't be the proper way, but when eagles speak to each other, they actually speak different than what you guys think. See, you guys are used to, once again, movie magic. So in movie magic, you think that the sounds that you've heard of eagles in movies, you guys think that that sound is an eagle sound. They've actually manipulated that. They thought that that wasn't great enough, so they changed it into more like a hawk sound, right? So you heard more hawk sounds and things like that than you have actual eagle sounds. Eagles are not trying to sound like everybody else. How you doing, Sister Betty? Eagles are not doing their best to make sure that they fit into everybody else's sound, right? Other people have manipulated their sound, just like other people have manipulated your story. Other people have manipulated your life. Other people have manipulated what you're supposed to learn. And so now here you are trying to be you, trying to be unapologetically you. And it's time for you to soar. It's time for you to dive. Something else that eagles do as well that's very crucial is that eagles, praise God, eagles are willing to fall apart so they can grow. Whether we're talking about molting, or we want to call it that, but eagles literally fall apart so they can grow. There can be no growth if the eagle doesn't fall apart. Matter of fact, you do it in your body too. It doesn't look the same, but you do it in your body too. When you were a child and you went through something where you were going through a growth spurt, and the growth spurt would hurt, right? I'm 6'5.5" and went through some growth spurts in my life, and then went through some pauses. I was 6 feet for years, and then all of a sudden, my senior year, I grew another 5.5 inches, right? This happens to a lot of NBA players, by the way. If you're into basketball player named Anthony Davis, reason why he can do some of the stuff ball skill wise, and yet he's still real tall, is because he thought he was going to be about, I think he was about 6'2", 6'3", something like that, maybe 6'4", and then all of a sudden, the senior year, he grew into the size he is today. So now Anthony Davis is huge, right? So there can be growth spurts, and growth spurts hurt. And the reason why growth spurts hurt is because you're actually having having an accelerated growth. And in order for you to grow, things have to be broken down and rebirthed. Yeah, growing pains in your knees and your legs, things like that, right? So I remember being in the bed and just laying down and feeling like I was seizing up sometimes, or feeling like I was having, calf issues, or feeling like I was going through all this stuff. And a lot of times it was because I was growing. And how you doing, Brother Anthony? Matter of fact, one of the things that we learned, my wife and I learned from Dr. Leah Africa, is when you go through a process and your child is growing, we just go, oh, children are clumsy, or oh, that's cute that they keep falling down, or oh, they're tripping over their feet. Yeah, they're tripping over their feet because their feet might be bigger today than it was yesterday. You said your son is 6'4", wanted to go to the doctor, was hurting so much. Yeah, it hurts, right? And so children, when they fall, a lot of times we think when the children are falling, it's just because they're learning to walk. Sometimes it's because that they learned how to walk in their body yesterday, and today they got a whole new body. Their right foot might be a little bit bigger than their left foot today. So when they take a step, they fall over. They're like, oh, that's new. That's new growth. That's new pain. That's a new fall. How you doing, Bianca Harris? Thanks for being on, right? They say, oh, that's new. I wasn't expecting that, right? Oh, I'm sorry, Bianca. You don't have to come on. I was trying to scroll up, so please forgive me. I don't think I've even talked to you yet, so please forgive me, right? But they trip, right? They do something clumsy. They knock over something. You go, why did you knock that over? And then, why'd you knock that over? Pay attention. It's not that they weren't paying attention. They got new growth, right? That new growth in them has caused them to do something different, right? It's not just because they're clumsy. It's because it's new, right? When the toddler is toddling, it's because the equilibrium, having to use equilibrium in that manner, is still new. And how you doing, Sister Nadine, if I didn't say so already, right? It's a new feeling. So they're toddling because of that. There's new growth. New growth causes a little something different. It causes a little hitch in your walk. It puts a little hitch on your wagon. It causes you to look at things differently. is new growth, right? New opportunity, right? Causes the has now a capability, or shows, some things that you have to learn. It's different. You've never done some of this stuff before, right? You've never done some of this stuff before, so now you need some new growth, right? You've never walked this walk before, so now you're toddling a little bit. That's okay. And see, we should see you toddling a little bit. We should see that you have some questions that you haven't had before. Shabbat shalom, everybody coming on. How you doing, Sister Stella? Right? You should see. I shouldn't expect a new baby to. I shouldn't expect somebody who just learned the truth yesterday to preach a word today. I shouldn't expect somebody who just recognized that they should eat correctly to give up pork today, which is why the Bible, it doesn't make excuses for, but it gives you the reality of is that you're getting on some of these people because they haven't put the pork down yet. But hey, didn't you used to eat pork too? Some of you, right? Didn't some of y'all used to eat chitterlings too? Right? Weren't some of you guys negligent as parents? Matter of fact, may I be honest with you, a lot of these fathers out here who be telling these daughters about these men, sisters, you know why? You know why these fathers are able to tell you, little girls, daughters, spiritual daughters, etc. How you doing, Jan? You know why these brothers are able to tell you that brothers ain't nothing? Is because they used to be nothing. And so when they see you with that brother that ain't nothing, they see themselves in that brother. Yeah, it's a daily walk. It's not a marathon. They see themselves in that brother. That's why he starts saying, "Oh, you don't want to mess with him. He gonna try to get in your pants, girl. He just gonna use you like a hole in the ground. He's just gonna abuse you. How you doing, Sister Knight? He's not gonna be there for you that much longer. Hey, when you get your money together, he's gonna be gone." You know why they're saying that? Sometimes it's not even because of the brother that you're with. Sometimes it's because they see themselves and all they can think of is themselves, and so they're guarding you against them. Mm-hmm. Let's keep it a buck. Sorry, brothers, I'm not trying to give away all the secrets, but if we love these sisters the way we say, we should tell them the truth. Sometimes the reason why Pastor Kofi is telling you stuff so passionately is because even if I didn't do it, I wish I was the brother that could. I just ain't had no game. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Sometimes, right? I might have been a virgin till I was married, but it wasn't necessarily just because of this and that. Look, I was tall, lanky, nobody cared about, had no game, gapping teeth, chapped lip, was always trying to wear the style, but never really wore it correctly, all that stuff. So I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I had nothing in me, right? I praise y'all that he made me the nerd. Now everybody want to be nerds, but back in the day, a nerd was actually a nerd. A nerd was somebody you put to the side. A nerd was you had to get with other nerds because you had no friends if you didn't have another nerd, right? And so that's what I was. But I praise y'all. He let me be that nerd because he kept me. He kept me, right? If I hadn't been, and I was trying to hang out with all the cats that weren't nerds. But when I look at where I am and I look at their life and where they are now, I'm glad that he kept me. I'm glad that he kept me away. I'm glad that he separated me. I'm glad that I don't have some of the same issues that they have. I'm just saying. But anyways, they'll tell you that because see, when they were young, when they were toddling and they were there, so they can tell when a brother's still toddling, they can tell that's not a man, that's a little boy. He's still toddling. They're telling you, baby girl, leave him alone. He's still toddling. He ain't got no vision yet. He's still toddling. He ain't got no mission yet. He's still toddling. He doesn't know the scripture yet. He's still toddling. That's why they try to tell you that, because they used to be that person. So when you see your children growing and tripping, how you doing, Sister Deja? When you see your child tripping and stuff like that as they get older, it's not because they're clumsy. It's because they're not used to their own body yet. Because they just learned how to walk yesterday, and now today their foot is a little bit bigger than it was yesterday, so they fall. How you doing, Sister Nancy? See, growth causes fall. Sometimes when somebody falls, it's because they're growing. Don't automatically assume somebody fell because they're a sinner. Sometimes they fall because they're growing. Hallelujah. Amen. Don't mess with this word today, especially when we get into the Shabbat Shalom service. There's a word coming for you today. There's a word coming for you today. But I'm going to go ahead and be obedient. Just stick to this word. How you doing, Roman? But I'm just trying to tell you, be careful. Because sometimes you see somebody fall and your immediate response is they must have sinned. Sometimes you fall in your own life. Your immediate response is, I must have fell. But sometimes it's because you're growing. So now, if you're going to grow, you're going to fall. If you're going to go through a growth spurt, you're going to fall. If you're going to go through a growth spurt, there's going to be some pain. See, watch this. Do you know that sometimes you've been falling your whole life, and the only reason you realize you even failed this time is because you grew? Holy Spirit. Say that again. Do you not realize that sometimes you've been falling in your life whole time, real talk? However, you did not realize that you were somebody who was continuing to fall, and the only reason you know that you failed this time is because you grew. And then you look down and you're like, wait a minute, I got scars all over my life. I got this and that. I must have been falling the whole time. I need to be obedient this time so I don't fall again. Praise God. See, people will have you tripping over your fall, but sometimes you fall, and it's not because you haven't failed before, but you realize you fell. See, it's like that old saying, even though the answer is, anybody who's around can hear, the tree still makes a sound. But here, this is the context of what they're trying to ask, right? Because if a tree falls in the middle of a forest, does it make a sound if nobody's around to hear it? Of course it makes a sound. You're just not able to hear it. How you doing, Sister Cassandra? Right? So obviously, if a tree falls, right, in the middle of the forest, it still makes a sound. But what they're trying to get to is that how consequential is the sound to the person, right, if the person never hears the sound, right, which is a deeper philosophical debate. But here's what I'm trying to tell you. If you've been falling your whole life and didn't know that you were falling, then even though the fall was beating up your body, it didn't matter to you that your body was getting beat up. It didn't matter to you that your walk was getting beat up. How you doing, Brother Dion? It didn't matter to you that your life was getting beat up. But all of a sudden, you came into some knowledge about who you were. How you doing, Minister Joseph? And who the Most High is. And now that you come into some intimacy, into some knowledge, now you know that you've been falling. Now you say, I've got to gird myself up around my loins with truth. Now I can't be what I used to be. Now I've got to be an example. Now I realize my children have been watching the fall. Now I realize that when I fall, pride goes before the fall. See, now you start making links, but you've been falling for a while. It just wasn't consequential. Now watch this. If everybody else saw you falling, see, this is why you got to get with eagles. What we're talking about today in animalistic behavior in this series, we're talking about eagles. See, if everybody saw you falling, but didn't recognize that was a fall, right? If everybody saw that you were an eagle, but you as an eagle, you were eating with chickens, though, like what chickens, they eat on the ground anyways. So chickens aren't really, worried about whether you fly or not. So they don't recognize that you don't belong down there. Come on, somebody, right? Quail, right, don't recognize the flight pattern. So when they see you down there, they're not really, they're not really freaked out by you being down on their level. Peacocks are beautiful, beautiful creatures, right? Preening everywhere, right? But when they see you on the ground, it makes sense for you to be on the ground because that's how they live. But eagles, when they are introduced to their flight, when eagles are shown, and their eagles are really supposed to be what? Trained from birth. See, if you don't train the eagle from when they're a little child or when they're born, if you don't train them from when they are born, then they might not ever fly. Right? Matter of fact, not only do eagle chicks, if that's what they're called, I think that's what they're called. Not only do eagle chicks fly, eagle chicks are around eagles and they see flight. Even if they aren't flying, they see the mother, they see the father fly. Right? Their nest is it's extremely high. So when they look outside the nest, they're always seeing things from down low. They're developing vision that they're going to use for the rest of their life to be able to fly even higher than the nest, that they might be able to see things on a level or see things from a level that others cannot see. But at some point, you got to kick the eagle out the nest. Mm. See, that doesn't make sense. See, chickens make sure that they have their chicks underneath them the whole time. Chickens might build somewhat nests in the wild, but a lot of chickens now are in captivity. Like your people have become. And when you're in the land of your captivity, you wait for somebody else to build something to shelter you. And even the people that feed you, you begin to not trust them until you get much older because you were born to be leery of the oppressor. But now when you get older, you get used to being independent. Now that when the human shows up, you just think that that's who you're supposed to be. You think that's who you are. You think that's what you were called to be, but you weren't called to be like the person that's feeding you. What if, you see, some of you have been getting fed. You're eagles. If I raise an eagle like a chicken, guess what? The eagle will live like a chicken for its whole life. Even if the eagle every once in a while does something and realizes, wait a minute, I'm flying, I'm getting up higher, I'm able to hover a little bit. But if I put it in a cage with the rest of the chickens and the chickens can jump as high as the eagle can hover, then the eagle will begin to believe that that's all it can do. I know we're talking about eagles today. We're going to focus on this one today. But, think about even in insects, right? With the flea. If a flea can jump almost as high as I am. I'm 6'5.5". I don't think it can quite make it to 6'5.5", but it can jump pretty high. A flea can jump pretty high. I think it can jump 4.5 feet, something like that. But if I take a flea and I put it in a bottle, right, the flea will try to jump because that's all it knows how to do. Its instinct is it needs to jump, but it has a problem. It hits the lid. How you doing, Mary? Thanks for being part of the community. Or May, excuse me. May, thanks for being part of the community. How you doing, Sister Sherry? It hits the lid, but it can jump 4 feet, but I'm only going to put it in about this much. I'll give it 6 inches. And it jumps, but it hits the lid. Tries again, jumps, hits the lid. After a few times of hitting the lid, guess what happens to the flea? Even though the flea knows it has the ability to jump higher, it also knows that in the environment that it's in, it better not jump any higher than what it's being told, than what the limit is on it. Right? So I keep hitting the limit. But something wild happens is that now generationally, and I'm gonna be a little imaginative, just a little bit, a teensy bit. But what happens is now I got a generation that comes behind me, and they've never seen. Now watch this. Let's imagine it's a glass jar as well. They've never seen their parents jump, but let's say there's other fleas outside of the glass jar. They see other fleas jump 4 feet, but they have only seen their parents jump 6 inches, just high enough that they don't have to deal with any pain. Just high enough. Don't smack. Just jump high enough. You're in a situation. Just jump high enough, right? Don't worry about marriage. Have children, but don't worry about being mothers and fathers. Jump just high enough. Don't trust anybody again. You've been hurt before. So, hey, you've been hurt by a couple people, so there can't be any great men out there of quality. There can't be any great women of quality. Hey, just jump high enough. You've had church hurt before, so everything in the Bible must be false. Don't press towards the mark of the high calling. Just high enough. How you doing, Urban Royalty? I saw a little piece of what y'all were doing last night. Thank you for being on. Right, a lot of people, they have that in them. How you doing, Rihanna? Right, just jump high enough. Don't push through. You might hurt yourself. Don't break the glass ceiling. But if I don't break through the glass ceiling, how do I get to the next level? But if you break through the glass ceiling, you'll cut yourself. You'll hurt yourself. Don't put yourself out there like that. You've been hurt too many times before. You know what they'll do to your people. You know when we built civilizations before, when we built communities before, you know what they've done. They've taken us, they put it underwater. Don't jump high enough because you might experience. That's what you're told. Just jump high enough. But you see other people that are fleas. You see other fleas jumping. You're saying, well, why can't we? Well, your parents were the first generation to discover the pain. And then the children do it. And now what happens with the grandchildren pop up? They do the same thing too. Matter of fact, though, their parents are so afraid of what the grandparents have told them that now the grandchildren, they jump a little lower. Thank you for the love. Appreciate it. How you doing, Spellbound? They jump a little lower and a little lower and a little lower. And now all it takes is a few generations to where the fleas, to make sure that they can survive, they only jump to a certain degree. And watch this. I can take that same flea now. See, I can take him out of captivity. I can take him out of the jar, and I can put him in the same situation that other fleas are in. And I can say, okay, you're free now. I can say, go ahead. I won this war for you. It wasn't the Gullah Wars. It wasn't the Seminole Wars. I won the Civil War for you, for your slavery to be over. Right? How you doing, Mimi? Right? Go ahead. Just jump a little bit. Or go ahead, jump as much as you want. And even though you have the tools, you've been created to jump to new heights. You'll only jump 3 inches at this point because you went generations from first generation knew they could jump. The next generation heard they could jump, but they heard the difficulties of jumping. The next generation after that was told, don't even try to get as high as the one before you. And before you know it, now everybody's jumping 48 plus inches. And you sitting up there still trying to figure out how, this is unfair. This is that, because they imprisoned your mind. Now, what does this have to do with eagles? Well, like I said, eagles, we were talking about pain. See, eagles, they grow, and growing comes with pain. Come on, somebody. Right? This is going to bless you. This is going to bless you. We don't have as long as we normally have. Let this sink into you. Let this bless you on this rising before we get ready to go into Shabbat Shalom service and our meetings and all that stuff. And you guys have a great day if we don't see you for the rest of the day. And those who we're doing the meetup with in the DMV and all that. Like, before you do it, if you're going to spend time on your Shabbat just with your family, if you're going to take time out for yourself, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. I'm just trying to show you something. How you doing, Stargate? Right? That you have the ability to jump higher than you've been jumping. But when it comes to the eagle, where's the eagle? How do we get back to the eagle? How do we get back to the eagle? How do we get back to the eagle? When we're talking about the eagle, in order to grow, has to go through pain. And it's unlike pain that you guys might know of. See, we talked about this a little yesterday. Maybe it was the first day we started this on Thursday, not sure. See, eagles have to break apart into pieces in order to grow. Their talons are only strong because they have to actually lose their talons at some point. Now, not completely, not the structure of it, but they have to lose the outside of the talons. So it becomes difficult for the eagle to walk. They have to lose their feathers. So the eagle, at some point, even though it's designed to soar, it cannot fly while it's growing. The eagle will have scales come upon its eyes and then be released that it might be able to see greater. The eagle, when it grows, it will have its beak come off and have to go through a whole nother beak, which means that it cannot eat. It's painful to eat. So you have an eagle that has the ability to see, but because it's growing right now, its vision has become blurred. You have an eagle that has one of the strongest beaks out there and can eat just about anything, but now it can't eat. It has the ability, but it's growing right now. You have an eagle that's lost its feathers, hasn't lost its wings, but has lost its feathers. Therefore, it cannot fly. Doesn't mean it cannot fly. It just means it's growing right now. You have an eagle that's lost the outside of its talons, and so now it's hard for it to even walk around its own nest that has been created for its own safety. So it has to start trying to just sit still. And because it's molting, sitting down, its skin is irritated. Its flesh is irritated. So even when it tries to sit down and just stay still, it hurts to stay still. Have you ever been in a growing pattern where in your growth, everything hurts? Come on, somebody. See, we love to talk about the eagle soaring, but in order to see the eagle soar, you got to realize that there's suffering. And the suffering of this present time is not worthy to be compared to the glory which shall be revealed. When you're soaring, there's a glory on you, but you got to be willing to go through the suffering. Do you choose to suffer? Because those who do not choose to suffer will be relegated to stagnancy. But those that choose to suffer, you choose to soar. Not sure. Some of you choose not to suffer and then try to figure out why you don't soar. Come on, somebody. Some of you choose not to suffer and then try to figure out why you can't soar. You have to lose to grow. Y'all love it when Dwayne Wade said, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Kind of sort of based off scripture, right? You got to choose to suffer. Come on, Naaman. Brother Naaman. Naaman. My brother Naaman came from another country, had all this stuff on you. We're trying to be impressive. But bruh, you thought that you was just going to show up and everybody's going to bow down to you. No, you've fallen apart. Trying your best to run away from suffering. Yeah, always try to take the easier path. And the prophet didn't even come out to meet you. The king was afraid, thought you were going to kill him. The prophet wouldn't come out to meet you. You got leprosy. You can't even sleep with your wife now. Your king got your back because he sees the greatness in you. But you still trying to ride around and everybody look at me and more than likely, depending on if the leprosy had affected his face, sometimes they would have even worn things over their face because they didn't want you to see what was happening because their body was falling apart. They didn't even look human. Some of them were described as looking more like pigs than humans. They're suffering. But Naaman, if you would just dip yourself down, I don't want to go into the Jordan River. That Jordan River is dirt. I could just go to the rivers of where my people are from. And his boy had to say, Naaman, stop. What if they had told you to do any other thing and they had told you to do it in your city, you would have done it, right? And by the way, was it not an Israelite little girl who was a servant who told us about this anyways? Right? Like, we're coming to her people. We're coming to this word. We're coming to this truth. We're coming to this knowledge. Be willing to go through what it is they told you to go through. And so he finally says, okay, I'll go to the river. And can you imagine this person who conquers other people has to think like more than a conqueror for the first time in his life. Conquering got him to where he was, but he's still falling apart. See, remember, suffering is different than what we think. See, everybody goes through pain, but see, that's why they call it, even in law, there's pain and suffering. Now, I won't get into that because now we got to get legalese because they shift the meaning of suffering and legalism versus law. However, suffering means that I've chosen it. In our culture, right? They try to change it and manipulate nothing. But see, suffering means I've chosen this. I've chosen to suffer. Yehoshua, what he did on the cross is a sacrifice, not just because it was great, not just because he died, not because he gave up the ghost, not because he was willing to be nailed. It's a sacrifice because he chose to suffer. Amen. Pain can happen quickly. Suffering, you sit in there for a second. Yeah. See, suffering, I chose it. He says, suffer the little children that they might come in. What does that mean? Let them in. Will it to be so. Allow this to happen to you. See, you won't even suffer the little children to come in. You always doing that. Man, will you ever listen? Blah, blah. No, suffer the little children. Let them be children. My son comes on the live sessions, and sometimes he be dancing and prancing something. Sometimes I tell him to do something. But guess what? He's a little child. He's 7. He's going to do that. Suffer the little children. Because he's learning more on these live sessions, even while he's dancing around, than he would if he was sitting still in school. But see, you go to school and they're like, they don't suffer the little children. And see, watch this. And I didn't even know we were going here, but we're going to be obedient. Thank you. Watch this. Like, do you not know that in every one of you, every adult listening, there's a little child? And every child listening, there's an adult? And if I won't suffer the little child, then the adult will not learn what suffering is. How are you going to have children that are patient and long suffering and you have no ability to be long suffering. How does a child learn long suffering when their parents were never long suffering? They chose to suffer as long as it took. How you gonna have a successful marriage with no long suffering? Mm. So how are you going to have a marriage with no long suffering? All you got is patience. My patience is running out. Yeah, because patience runs out. Long suffering is I choose to go through it. And if I chose to go through it, see, now you got to figure out, did you choose the right person to suffer with it? You better be careful. God told me that that was going to be my spouse. Well, okay, if he did, then that means that he also gave you provision. Part of the provision was suffering. Should you choose to accept this mission impossible, right? This mission, should you choose to accept it? See, may I be honest? I'm not saying this to anybody because he can work out all things together for our greatness. But this is why a lot of parents have issues with children because you don't even plan to have children. You plan to have a great time. You plan to date somebody, not to be married with somebody, but to date somebody, and y'all have a good time. And then all of a sudden, this I'm gonna just put the tip in. All of a sudden, this well, we'll put a condom on, even though and I know they're 99 point whatever percent supposedly, but they're not 100%. All of a sudden you catching feelings for somebody and you trying to figure out why, not knowing that your DNA comes together and melds together as one because you're designed to be one. And now you got all these husbands and all these wives in your mind. How you doing, Sister Nadine? And you trying to figure out why am I why am I still going through this? Because you suffered it. And now you got children that have come out of this thing to where you didn't choose. So now you have patience for them, but you don't have long suffering. If it was marriage the way our culture describes it, then it means you would have been prepared from the time you were born until the time that you met a husband, pre-qualified to be a husband, or met a wife, pre-qualified to be a wife. You would have already been ready your whole life so that if you chose to be that person's wife and you chose to go up to that wife to see if she would become your wife, now all of a sudden you're ready to suffer. You chose it. A lot of you don't choose it. Now you choose it in a sense. You just don't like the consequences, right? But so you got to be willing to suffer. The eagle can soar because the beak comes off and grows back stronger. The eagle has no choice but to choose to be itself. It doesn't make sense physiologically or even psychologically as far as animals are concerned to try and deny who they are. So the eagle chooses to be who it is because it doesn't have a mindset that I should not molt. It doesn't have a mindset that I should not lose feathers. It doesn't have a mindset that it should be difficult for me to walk from time to time. It doesn't have a mindset that scales shouldn't come from my eye. This is who I am. This is what it's going to be. And so I have a mindset to take on whatever pain is necessary. I'm a long sufferer. However long it takes for me to be stronger, when I get out here again and I start flying again, I'm going to be able to fly higher than I could before because I was willing to suffer. I have no choice in it. If I want to be great, if I want to be an eagle, suffering is part of the equation. Only human beings, because of free will. We talked about it before. Free will can be great if you honor free will and the will of the universe and the will of the Most High. It can be a detriment if you're not willing to honor things through your own free will. See, only human beings have this complex that says that I'm going to be something that I'm not. And that if you won't accept what I'm not, then you are evil. When's the last time that you had a lion get upset with you because you tried to feed it meat? Or you've seen that before? When's the last time that a tiger showed up and wanted to just sit down and have a cup of coffee? When's the last time that an eagle decided that it wasn't going to fly? When's the last, you know what I'm saying? When's the last time that a tortoise decided it was going to swim? When's the last time that a turtle decided it didn't need water? Right? When's the last time a camel thought that spitting was nasty? Only in humanity have we decided that we won't be what we're created to be. Every animal has to suffer its own thing. Guess what? Every human being will have to suffer something, but we don't want suffering. Eagles fly due to the fact that they suffer. It's a lot. Say what you will about a rodent, but rodents don't think of themselves as being nasty. They just do what they do. Say what you will about a fly. Flies don't say, oh man, it's disgusting that I'm sitting here eating this fecal matter. Flies say, I'm here to clean up. Let's do what we do. Right? Animals don't sit there and be like, oh, they're looking at us while we're going ahead and using this litter box. Up, they're looking at us while we're going ahead and going out for a walk and putting our leg up. And no, this is what we do. I'm not worried about what everybody else is talking about. This is what we do. And if another dog's look, even if I've never met a dog before, if I meet a dog for the first time, I already know certain things that I'm doing. The dog knows certain things because there's instinctual things that are in us. We've been created in such a manner that if I have a dog and I see a dog going like this, I know they're happy. If I see their tail wagging back and forth, they're excited about something. If it's wagging to the right, they're probably happy. If it's wagging to the left, they're probably a little frustrated right now. There's something in you already. The kingdom of heaven is in you, and there's something in you that's crying out. Right? Dogs suffer whatever dogs suffer through. And see, the suffering's on a different level. I don't want to get too deep into dogs. We'll talk about dogs some other time. But you hear what I'm saying? You were an eagle. You were meant to fly. You were not meant to be like everybody else. You were not meant to do what everybody else does. See, eagles fly. They don't look for humans to fly. Right? It's odd when an eagle sees an airplane. Because you don't belong here. As a matter of fact, eagles fly higher than a lot of airplanes. And here's something about suffering. See, watch this. See, suffering for them is going through those things, but see, they don't suffer through things that others suffer through. Y'all learn? Well, watch this. See, eagles fly at such a high altitude, at such a high frequency, if you will, at such a high spiritual plane, if you will, that when they're flying, they fly not in the midst of the storm, they fly over the storm. Matter of fact, they like storms because storms cause extra wind that allows them to hover and not have to flap, but they can just hover and be pushed. They're at rest. While everybody else around them is running around, while the animals are trying to get out of Dodge, where human beings are trying to rebuild homes, while we're getting warnings by the police saying, hey, make sure, like last year, 2022, we were trying to get out of Florida when that storm was coming, and the storm was right there next to us, behind us, all this stuff. And we trying to get back up to Georgia to make sure that we get out there. Eagles, when they see stuff like that, they say, oh, this is rest time for me. I'm gonna just go higher. When the storm gets high, I go higher. See, some of y'all, when your storms come up, you get lower. Somebody make fun of you, you got to make fun of them back. Somebody curses you, you got to cuss them back out. Somebody makes fun of your children, you got to make fun of theirs. Somebody tells you that you're a bad person, you got to tell them why they're a bad person and all that. But see, eagles, they don't worry about coming on your level. When the storm comes, they just get higher. Eagles look to storms because when they see a storm, they look for peace. You look away from storms because when you see a storm, you don't realize that there's peace in the midst of the storm. You run. Eagles fly because of storms. Eagles sees a storm coming, they say it's time to fly. That's see, it does what it does. It does what's created to do. See, you see, if you're not careful, you'll cower, you'll stop using your gift. All of a sudden, things are getting worse, and you say, "Oh, I need to stop. My relationship ain't working out. I'm just not. I just can't. I can't see where I need to do it." No, you need to use that gift right now. You need to suffer right now. Suffer it that it will be done. So I will it to be done. So I will bless the Lord, right, at all times. As a result of my will, I will bless the Lord at all times. I'm not going to allow myself to just give up, right? Because that's not suffering. That's giving up. I'm going to go through it and suffer so that after I've suffered a little while, those things that have messed me up or that I thought would mess me up, I realize that's what causes me to soar. I've learned more in the suffering. I'm not saying I've learned nothing outside of it, but I've learned more in the suffering, or at least let me say this: I've learned differently through suffering. Bad relationships of the past may be stronger today. People that I couldn't trust in the past allowed me to be trustworthy today. When I was a liar in the past, it's allowed me to focus on the truth today. See, but the suffering of this present time is not worthy to be compared to the glory which shall be revealed. You might have faith that you're an eagle, but where are your works? Have you gone through the pain so that you can grow? Amen. Giving up not in your DNA, right? Have you gone through the pain so that you can grow? Now, don't suffer everything. Remember, I told you. See, eagles suffer differently. They lose the beak. They lose their feathers. They lose parts of the talon. Right? They lose their ability to fly. They lose their sight. That they choose to suffer what eagles suffer through. But see, when storms come, suffering for them or suffer. See, they don't choose to suffer storms. They choose to go through them. I feel like I might be all over the place, but hopefully somebody got what I'm saying now. I think we're on track. I feel like I was a little all over the place, but I think we get in our groove as we get ready to take our leave, right? See, they eagles don't look at storms and say, that's gonna be too much. Eagles don't look at storms and say, ooh, that's gonna be a little too much. They soar. They soar. Right? Whoever this is for you, right? Catch this today. Eagles don't look at storms. They don't look at your situation. They don't look at your past. They don't look at these things. They soar. Amen, Tracy. Got another Tracy on. Thank you for the love. Appreciate it. See, eagles ain't looking at everything. They're looking for what? They're looking for soar. They're looking for new heights. They place their children in places to where even when their children are not able to soar, they still see from a high perspective. This is why Yah is calling you to train your child up in a way that you were never trained. Yeah, suffer it. Do what you got to do. Figure out how you got to make this money thing work. Your child needs to be put in a position to where even though they can't soar yet, they are seeing things differently. How you doing, Sister Sheila? They need to see things differently. Right? You were taught to always look up at an oppressor. Eagles are always more than conquerors. Did you catch it? You were always told, look up, look to this person, look to this system, look up at this, look up at that. And look, I get it because you got to have a standard you're under. But hear what I'm saying? Like you are more than a conqueror. There's an eagle of eagles, there's a father of fathers, but he's up so high that you need to keep going up high eternally. And as you keep going up high eternally, watch this. The higher I get, somebody tell me something as far as perspective. The higher I get, what does it start to look like at the ground? The higher I get, when you get in that plane and you ascend, the higher you get, what happens to those things on the ground? The things that were so big while you were on their level, the higher you get, they get smaller, right? The higher they get, they begin to look microscopic. You go from seeing people that look like they're taller than you to now You can't even see them. Then you can't see the car. Then you can't see the building. Then you can't see the, then you can't see the neighborhood. Then you can't see the city. Then you can't see the county. Then you can't see the state. Then you can't see anything but clouds. There comes to a certain point to where the higher you get, the harder it is to see the things that were so troubling. Come on, Holy Spirit, right? And the problem might not be the building in your life. The problem might be you're so low to the ground that you think that the building can hold you. But when you're an eagle, you can't fly in a building if you're going to fly to your highest heights. And watch this. See, and the eagle's vision is a little different than yours. It's just a little different than yours, right? Much different, but an eagle's vision just a little different than yours. See, watch this. An eagle sees everything that you see, but will catch prey that you sometimes could be standing next to and can't even see. Its vision is on point. So it's not focused as much as you might think the eagle is looking over the whole entire planet. It's looking for certain movement. It's looking for certain color patterns. It's looking for certain prey. It's not looking for everything. The eagle's not coming down from flight for everything. Matter of fact, if you don't notice, birds in general, now I'm not 100% sure about eagles, but birds in general, they have bad sense of smell. A lot of y'all were taught that if you see a bird on the ground or something like that, don't touch it. Or you see a bird in the nest, don't touch it because the mother or father might not come back because of the smell. But birds actually have a really poor sense of smell. Matter of fact, in raising chicks, I found that I was thinking at first, you pour the food in and all that, and then they'll just go and they'll go to the, they'll smell it, but they don't even smell. I have to present it to them and make sure they see it, and then they'll start coming for it. But they have actually a poor, fowl in general have a poor sense of smell. They don't smell that well. If you ever look in the triangle bird hunting or something like that, the smell is not one of their greatest senses, but they have great sight. Matter of fact, you ever seen a bird and you've seen like with humans, if somebody's doing this, you kind of see them get dizzy, but a bird, while your head would be moving like this, the bird just stays still, right? Its body moves, right? The body be moving. Right, the body be moving all around. I can't do it. I don't do the robot no more. But the body, you ever seen somebody do the robot and the head stays still, but the rest of the body around is moving over and over again? It's because they have the ability to focus. They've been trained to be able to focus. Their vision is on point. Right? So they're not looking for everything in the world. They're only looking for those things that matter. Right? When they're on the hunt, they're not looking for all the things you're looking for. They're only looking for things that matter. And the eagle's not going to stop its flight because it sees a bear. The bear doesn't bother it, right? The bear doesn't get its attention. But what it needs to eat, or if it needs to do something to protect its children, or its offspring, now it moves. See, and so you are an eagle. Why are you so busy trying to take flight, but you keep coming down for stuff that doesn't even feed you? Come on, somebody, right? How many flights have you stopped in your life? You said just like the bird keep diving on the ground, it's a sign that there's a snake. Right? If that's what that particular bird hunts and all that, right? So you got to ask yourself, how many times were you supposed to be at a higher level, but you kept coming down because of something that's not even for you anymore? It's not even for you anymore, but you keep coming down. Can you believe, girl? Can you believe what my ex said? Can you believe what my ex said? Blah, blah. He ain't even for you no more, but you keep coming down. Bruh, can you believe that she got with so-and-so, man? I wonder what he looked. Let's be real. I wonder if he better than me, if he bigger than me, this and that. Bruh. She broke my heart, man. She broke my heart. Bruh. She down here. That's not your focus. Why are you coming down? Right? And remember, if you're looking for a wife, Once again, eagles, they get with other eagles. They take flight together, they grab talons, they spin around as part of the mating ritual. You got to be able to fly where I am, and then we got to see if we can dive down together. If we can dive down together, that means if you're strong enough to be able to handle me, now we can talk about having some chicks, some babies. Right? And so many people are chasing things. Right? Have you ever thought about the fact that where would you be if you were never taught that you were supposed to work for somebody else, but you had been given a business and inherited one, as we should be given to our children? Where would you be if you had inherited a business rather than now you're 40, 50, 60, 70 trying to start it? Where would you be if somebody told you about investing in yourself? Where would your community be if you thought about investing in yourself? Like, look, hip hop head, admittedly, hip hop head. I don't keep up with all of it the way I used to, but hip hop head. All right, admittedly so. This is a hip hop head saying this. All right, this ain't somebody who ain't with the culture, that doesn't know what hip hop actually is. That it's not just MCing, but it's also DJing. It's also making sure that you got the dances down, right? It's also making sure that you have the art down and the clothing down. I know, right? But where would we be if we actually were invested in our own culture with hip hop? That's why you needed somebody to remind you it's bigger than hip hop, hip hop. Go back and listen to that song. Right? Matter of fact, I don't even. I had no clue we were going to go here, but let's be eagles. Let's go where we're supposed to fly. Let's look. Let's look at the lyrics. Just real quick. I don't even know if we have time to go through all of them because we got to get ready to take our leave, right? Let's look at the lyrics of that song. Y'all remember that song? If you remember that song, go look it up. And yes, there's some cursing in it. Right? Look up the clean version. How you doing, Diva Trucker? Right? It starts off one thing about music, when it's real, they get scared. Got us slaving for the welfare. Ain't no food, clothes, or health care. Hear what I'm saying? Right? Like, how many people rapping like that? We don't sow into them. We give them a hit, but we'll sow into we'll sow in. Actually, well, Lupe is doing pretty decent too. But I don't listen to the same people do. But we sow into Lil Wayne. You right? We like a cop car. While Robin Thicke is stealing beats and stuff from Marvin Gaye. If y'all didn't know that, if you didn't get that, I mean, that's pretty easy to see. His family actually had to win a lawsuit. How you doing, Vincent? But see, look, it's bigger than hip hop. Dead prayers, right? One thing about music, when it's real, they get scared. Yeah, like a cop car, right? We like that, but where is your stuff invested even in you, right? Got us slaving for the welfare. Ain't no food, clothes, or health care. I'm down for guerrilla warfare. That's eagle speech. That's eagle speech. That's eagle speech. All my N words. Put your guns in the air if you really don't care. Skunk in the air. It's about to, right? We about to spray. Right? What we about to spray? Make an N word, want a buck in the air for my brother locked up in the junk for a year. Stuff is real out here. Don't believe these videos. These fake industry got to pay to get a song on the radio. They're telling you this ain't even real. You think that a song is popular. Do y'all remember when oh, I didn't know Lupe was working at the university. That's cool. He deserves to be. His knowledge is on point like that. We don't even think about, like, y'all remember Mariah Carey, and she came out, I forget, it was a Butterfly. That album, Butterfly, that album was a flop. But y'all think that it sold, hundreds of millions. They forced, or they didn't force, but they basically worked in conjunction with the Walmart family. Sony worked in conjunction with the Walmart family, and they remember, because she was married to the guy over Sony at the time, right? Same guy basically that leads to Michael Jackson's death, if you follow that rabbit hole. But anyway, And when they went down that way, right? They went through all that or whatever. They kind of Walmart and them worked to make sure that basically they bought back all the albums, and they told Walmart, put all this stuff on the shelf. So if you remember at the time, maybe y'all do or don't, depending on if you were still buying CDs and stuff like that. But you would go to Walmart and you would see you would see like this whole thing of just Mariah Carey Butterfly stuff not touched. Nobody cared about it. But in your mind, why? Because they bought it up. And now you're under the impression. Now, I'm not saying Mariah Carey never sold. I'm not telling you that Mariah Carey can't sing. I'm not telling you that Mariah Carey couldn't hit the notes that were off the piano. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just trying to tell you that particular album. You said you worked at the department. No one was buying it. So there you go. Somebody who worked in the department at the time. Thank you. Right. It says, really though, DPs, I'm going to let you know, it's just a game of pimps and hoes. And it's all about who you know. Now who we are, or how, right? Or not who we are, or how we grow. Sound like what we're talking about today. I rap about what I know, not what everybody else talking about. I rap about what I know, what I go through, what I've been through, but through, not just for dough, right? What I've been through, not just for money, right? Even though the rent due, what I'm into ain't for no dough or just no fame. Everything must change. Nothing remains the same. Sick of the same old thing. It's better than blank blank, right? What's the rest? If feel it, I feel it. If I don't, I don't. If I ain't really, then I probably won't. So if I wasn't feeling it from the beginning, if it's not for Eagles, right? If I wasn't feeling this thing from the beginning, if it's not my culture from the beginning, I'm probably not going to feel this at all. Are you ready to stand up and stay on what you're supposed to? Yes, Florida meeting at 11 a.m. Eastern. If I feel it, I feel it. If I don't, I don't. If it ain't really real, then I probably won't, right? If it ain't real, then I'm probably not gonna feel it anyways. Rolling with my soldiers, live soldiers, ready to ride, or live soldiers, excuse me, ready to ride. For this real hip hop, y'all, I'm ready to die. Right? Skip down some. Hip hop means what? Hip hop means saying what I want, never bite my tongue. Hip hop means teaching the young. What? Now, what they teaching the young? Anybody teaching the young with hip hop anymore? Means I might bite my tongue. Means teaching the young. Anybody teaching the young anymore? Or what are they teaching them? You remember KRS-One, knowledge reigns supreme overall. Matter of fact, when we get out of this, you know what? I'll try to play a clean version, but we probably gonna rock. When we do our shout out at the end of this on TikTok, we probably gonna rock is bigger than hip hop, right? And then we'll come out with some KRS-One, a song called "Crazy," just to let y'all see. But we got to get ready to take our leave, so we're gonna speed through this. It says, "If you feeling what I'm feeling, then you hearing what I'm saying." Because these fake records just keep on playing. What you saying, huh? DP bringing the funk. Let the bass line rattle your trunk. Punk pig, cops. Punk pig with a badge want to handcuff me because my pants tend to sag. Hip hop means throw up your rag, soldier flag. Are you ready to suffer? Whether riding on the bus or you stole a Jag, M1 means freedom, burn the cash, revolutionary love till the day we pass. Will they play it on the radio? Maybe not. Maybe we gonna keep pumping though, right? Everybody know we headed for the woe, for sure. A-Dog, that label is a slave ship. They telling you the game, right? A-Dog, that label is a slave ship. Owners got them whips and rappers as slaves. If you really want to eat, you got to hear the same thing with football, b-ball, or you slanging that dope. Ain't never seen no hope. Brainwash. Think about this now. Hear what he's saying. This is bars. I guess it's poetry. I'm snapping, right? But this is bars right here, right? This is bars. Hear it again. A-Dog, that label is that slave ship. They keep telling you there's no such thing as $1 million slaves, but there's a book called $1 Million Slave. If you haven't read it, go get it. Or if you haven't got some excerpts from it, or if you haven't heard the audio book on YouTube, try to find it, right? A-Dog, that label is that slave ship. Owners got them whips and rappers as slaves. If you really want to eat, you got to hear the same thing with football, b-ball, or if you slanging that dope. Ain't never seen no hope. Brainwash video shows be fooling my folk. What the hell a brother gonna do though, huh? When the rent is due, when the lights and the gas gonna get cut off, drop them raps or cock them gas. Oh, you guys are terrible. Black on black crime, this and that. They set up a system. What you gonna do? How you doing, Brother Brian? What you gonna do when they set up a system where that's your only choice, right? Ain't never had nothing ever since we came into this be. Why I gotta feel pain to get rich? Instead of stacking chips, finna pack them clips. If I feel it, I feel it. If I don't, I don't. If it ain't really real, then I probably won't. Rolling with my soldiers, live soldiers, ready to ride. For this real hip hop, y'all, I'm ready to die. Ride to this if you miss Tupac. Bounce to this if you love Big Papa. My soldiers, live soldiers, ready to die. For this real hip hop, y'all, I'm ready to die. Okay, let me skip down again. Actually, that's pretty much it, right? At that point, right? It's bigger than hip hop. They're trying to tell you hip hop used to be something better than what it was. This world, what we had, it was actually something you could start saying was for our culture. Like, do you remember that it used in hip hop? We always talk about Adidas brand and Adidas shoe deals and stuff like that. Do you not remember there used to be people wearing dashikis in hip hop? Y'all forgot about that? Like I said, we're gonna get ready to do our shout out. If you're on YouTube and you want to come over, listen to the shout out on TikTok, we're gonna go ahead and ride. And yes, this is not gospel music that's going to play, but you need to hear it. I'll make sure that I get the clean versions, but you need to hear it. And you need to, and you, right, you need to hear it. You need to hear it. You need to know yourself. Remember we talked about last night, tell your story. It used to be that hip hop was supposed to be something that was uplifting people, not just black folk, by the way. Don't let people twist it. It was bringing people together no matter what color of skin you had. If you was Boricua, right? That's why you could have a Fat Joe and Big Pun. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, Big Pun, you're talking about Big Pun, right? People think about like Puerto Ricano, like Big Pun Cubano. And he'll be the first person to tell you about slavery and stuff like that happening over in Cuba. Like we have this weird stance. We forget that Old Dirty Bastard, ODB, he was actually somebody who knew his native tribe and identified as his native tribe. Right? Like we forget, don't forget Queen Latifah. Before she started getting more acceptable to what's going on now, Queen Latifah used to be up there and she used to have hat on and everything. Looking like NOI, right? Mixed with Africa. You know what I'm saying? You said hip hop used to be about the word, yeah, not what you wear. Yeah. So I'm just saying it used to be, right? It used to be. Matter of fact, Tribe Called Quest, Queen Latifah, I can't remember the other people on top of my head right now, forgive me. But there was a whole album with all these groups that came together. It was an album, right? Don't forget about Mr. Window, right? Like there were lessons in this thing. Even with Pop. Pop might have gave you this, that, or whatever, but don't forget Brenda Got a Baby. Right? Even I Ain't Mad at You. We was once two N-words of the same kind, quick to holler. He's telling you that we used to be in the streets together, but you done came up and you a square, so to speak. You ain't doing the stuff that we used to do on the street, but at the same time, bro, I ain't mad at you because you're doing things right. You trying to pray, you trying to live right, you trying to give yourself most high. He was talking about those things, right? Like that used to be part of the conversation, right? Even though you was a crack fiend mama, you always was the black queen mama. Running from the police, that's right. Mama will catch you, put a whoop into your backside. Right? Like that was there was stuff in there to where you were supposed to learn about yourself. You were supposed to learn about you. Now, yeah, it's about lean. It's about death. It's about these H's ain't loyal. I'm the baddest bee. Even Slick Rick to a certain extent. By the way, Slick Rick is a black Iraqi. Did y'all know that? Slick Rick is actually a black Iraqi. He's not from the United States of America. He's known kind of as like being a five boroughs brother. Slick Rick is not even from this country. At least his people ain't. Right? But I don't even think he was born here. I might be wrong with that. But he's Iraqi. He's one of you. So that's why when stuff was getting bombed in Iraq and Iran, and you would hear these people come on and they say, hey, oh yeah, you're right. You're coming from that end. You're right. But that's why you had all these people come on and say, hey, why are they killing us? Like we don't have this culture that you guys think. Like, why are you doing this to us? He's from the UK. Okay, I'm sorry. Excuse me. He's Iraqi though. His people are Iraqi. And then people, look at him as kind of being five boroughs because of the people that he made songs with. Excuse me. You're absolutely right. That's what. So I've been corrected a couple of times. You're right to correct me, right? But what I'm trying to get across is that he's not what y'all think he is. His family's not. And just because, remember, see, it doesn't matter where you're from. It matters who you're from, right? Just like ODB, you can say he's an American. No, ODB would tell you that he's native, right? You see what I'm saying? Like it's a different mindset. Matter of fact, some of these rappers now they're trying to hide from who they are. Because what's his face? Who's the guy that got the cross on his forehead tattooed or whatever? The Tav on his forehead. And he wanted y'all to think he was from the ATL, but he was actually from England. His people are actually from Africa or something like that. I don't know his name, but it was 21 Savage. Yeah. So I'm just trying to tell you, when I say he's Iraqi, I'm not necessarily saying he had to be in Iraq. What I'm trying to tell you is his people don't identify with what y'all think that they identify with, So I'm just saying, right? But anyways, we're going to go ahead, take our leave. We got to get ready for the podcast. We'll have the information up. If you're on YouTube, feel free to look up how to get in contact with us or be part of it. If you want to jump over to TikTok for it, we're going to jam out a little bit on some of this old school stuff. Maybe we'll even open up with some of the old school stuff on the podcast. Yeah, Public Enemy for sure. I think we should look at Public Enemy a lot more than we look at NWA, even though I get what the NWA movement kind of sort of means. But anyways, I'll leave that there. But let's go ahead and get ready to take our leave. Thank you for being on again. We appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and look up. What was the first one I was saying we're going to look up? It's bigger than hip hop, right? That's what we're going to look up first. And then we're going to go ahead and go to KRS-One Crazy. And then maybe we'll even let KRS-One do a little bit of teaching about who the Israelites are as we get ready to get into our live session. Once again, please, if you're on TikTok, when we do our shout out, once the music starts playing, just let the music start playing before we start the shout out. I'll let you know how that works in a second if you've never done one with us before. Please make sure that you pay attention. There's going to be something that's going to pop up. It's going to say like a barbecue fundraiser. The barbecue fundraiser is for somebody in our community. So the person I've been telling y'all about for a little bit, but we haven't really been grinding on saying, hey, can you support the family? Can you support the family? That's what it's going to be about, right? So we're going to talk. So we're gonna make sure that we put that up at the end. I'm gonna put it up a couple times during the music playing. So if you can help that family, or even if you want to purchase something, even if you don't ask them to send you anything from it, even if you're not in their area, at least you'll see the reason why they're asking for help. If you know some people that might be able to help them, if you know some people that might be able to give you some legal aid, things like that, we can at least talk to the family about, or you can even talk to the family if you want, because they're part of the SOC family, part of the Israelite community. So if you like to be able to help, there's some things that family's going through, and they put their information up. So I've been putting it up. We'll put it up again a little bit. So that's what that means when you see that come on. Right, but thank you again for being on. Appreciate y'all. Got to get ready for the podcast. I'll try to put the clean version of these songs on. So y'all don't see up here be like Pastor up here wilding. But thank you guys. We appreciate you so very much. We thank you for taking time out to be with us again. Oh yeah, Most Def. Yeah, we've quoted some Most Def stuff on here before, for sure. But hopefully you see why you need to be like eagles. Don't come down off the level you are. Stop focusing on stuff that has nothing to do with you. Fly where you're supposed to fly. Let your children see from the viewpoint that they're supposed to have vision in, and you be the example that your people need to see. Thank you guys again. Please check out my wife, as always, the Honorable Maya, on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A and D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. The tincture of the month is stinging nettle. If you'd like to be able to get some of that or any other tincture that she has to be able to cause healing, please study this word, meditate on it so you can be hearers and doers of it simultaneously. And we really appreciate your presence today. Thank you for being on. We honor the King and Queen, each and every one of you. The class stuff. Classes are starting on Monday. If you're interested in classes, we've been putting out the information. If you need the link to fill it out, I'm gonna try and start contacting y'all today to make sure you guys know dates, times, and start putting your names and emails in on the stuff that you asked for. And so donations and all that stuff, we can make sure we talk that stuff through still too. You got till Monday. I think the first class is going to start at 8:30 p.m. So if you're interested, at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget today at 11 a.m. Eastern, everybody in Florida, Zoom meeting. 12:30 p.m. everybody in the Northeast region, Zoom meeting. 2 o'clock p.m. everybody in the DMV in Pennsylvania, Zoom meeting. And then at 4 o'clock p.m., we'd like to be able to meet up with everybody over at North Point State Park, right outside Baltimore. We're going to travel a ways to get there to you, but we should be there on time at 4 o'clock. Even if it rains in that area, we have some other places that we're ready to meet up inside, okay? So we thank you guys. We appreciate you. And as always, it's been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Until I have a great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility of being in front of you all again. Please remember, as always, Yahshua, that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shabbat shalom, peace. For those of you who are still on TikTok, this is